Hey everyone, welcome back to So Arizona. I am so excited to share some plant babies with you. I've got my little plant tray right here. So Native Seed Search had a pop-up plant sale last Saturday, May 2nd. So I had to go over there and check out what they had. And in full disclosure, I did have the plant list ahead of time, so I actually knew what was over there. So I was actually popping in so that I could buy plants that I don't need. So this was premeditated over plant buying for sure. I got a couple of different kinds of melon seedlings, and these are a couple varieties that I have grown in my garden over the last few years. I started some seeds in the house like I usually do, planted the seedlings out, and then the pack rat that seems to be intent upon eating all of my tender seedlings got to them and ate them all. So unfortunately, I found myself with no melon seedlings, and I could have totally just planted some more seeds. I do have some, and I probably actually still will for monsoon season. So usually what people will do is they will plant the melons like these, which I'm going to share with you what kind they are in a minute, during the monsoons with the rain. But I wanted to get a head start and get some now, and then also to plant some seeds later. So this was a little shortcut for me since the pack rat had other ideas about what was going to happen in my garden. All right, so the first one that I want to talk about is this little guy. Like, just look how cute this is, y'all. Let me see if I can get it into focus. Isn't that just so cute? Such a little baby. This is called the Kiribasho, and I'm going to put the name of this on the screen because it is spelled in a way that is quite unfamiliar to me, but I know how to pronounce this one just because of my time volunteering at Native Seed Search. The other melon I will have to put the name on the screen for because I do not know how to pronounce it, but this Kiribasho is a kind of Cassaba melon, and Cassaba melons, they are a group of melons that are called winter melons or winter storage melons, and that's because unlike other kinds of melon like cantaloupe or like watermelon, they will actually store for a little while. So if you harvest them in the fall, you can store them in a cool, dry place, and they will store for much longer than a cantaloupe. You won't be storing it for as long as a pumpkin or some other kind of hard winter squash, but when it comes to a fruit, you will get several weeks of storage out of this, which I think is very cool. Back to the Cassaba melons, musk melons like cantaloupe, these Kiribashos, honeydew, things like that are all in that family. Musk melons is what they're called, but these are not as fragrant as cantaloupe. So if you cut into a cantaloupe or a watermelon, they are just going to be very fragrant. These are not so much. Cassaba melons originated in the Mediterranean, particularly in Turkey, and they were named after the town in Turkey, Cassaba, and I thought that was a really cool little historical fact. There are many different kinds of fruits, both annuals as well as fruiting trees and bushes and vegetables that came to the United States through the Spanish mission complex that happened during the late 1500s and early 1600s, and they've been grown by a lot of the indigenous people groups since. There are other things that were actually grown by the indigenous peoples that were then introduced to the Spanish, who then carried it to Europe. So there was this two-way trade, and I think that's really interesting. I wanted to refresh my memory, so I was reading about this melon on the Native Seed Search website, and it said that the Tohono O'odham older men call the melon old woman's knees, and the older women call it old man's chest because of its wrinkly texture and appearance. So I thought that was pretty funny. They're both giving each other a little bit of a hard time. But the melon is very wrinkly looking. To me, it looks kind of like green elephant skin. It's got deep grooves and wrinkles in it, and it's a nice lime green color at first. Then it kind of mellows out to a yellow once it gets ripe. Unlike cantaloupe, it doesn't just slip from the stem. So when you are looking at it, you need to look at the appearance of it to see if it's changing color or not. Sometimes the end of the melon will get a little bit soft too. Not really soft, but just will have a little bit of give to it, which will feel different from the rest of the melon. So those are a couple different ways that you know that they're ripe. I've grown this for several years, and the inside of this melon looks kind of like either anywhere from an off-white color, a bit like a cucumber, just like the slightest bit of green, and it can also go all the way to more of a lighter green color. So it's got a really interesting flesh color, kind of like a honeydew, but a little bit more color range in there that it can display. And I think that the flavor is very unique. I've had a few that were really ripe and really delicious, and they tasted to me like melted vanilla ice cream. That's the best way I can describe it. Other people don't get that flavor, but that's what I think they taste like. So I got 4 of those. I had only planned to get 2, but you know how these things go sometimes. You get a little excited. And so let me look at this next one. So the next one is the watermelon, and the watermelon is really nice. It is a yellow meated watermelon. It's a Tohono O'odham variety as well. I'm going to put the name of this one on the screen because I'm not familiar with how to pronounce it, and I don't want to pronounce it wrong. This one is one that I grew for the last couple of seasons. I've had great luck with this. It's a really prolific watermelon, very productive. It produced quite a few melons. I think I got 4 or 5 melons off of one vine, which is pretty good, and they were huge melons. I weighed one of them and it was over 20 pounds. It's been a while since I referred back to that video, but I think it was like 23 pounds, 22 or 23 pounds. This is the best watermelon I have ever tasted. I have not gotten a bad watermelon off of this vine. Sometimes watermelons can be, you know, a little bit mealy, sometimes a little powdery, but this one was really juicy and really sweet and flavorful, and I absolutely love it. In fact, since I grew this watermelon for the first time, I have not grown any other varieties. I have just been so stuck on this watermelon. And so of course, a little bit of history for watermelons is that they originated in Africa, and they were really good for water storage because they're about 90% water. So I think that is really interesting, and they do so well in long seasoned climates. So places like Tucson and Phoenix and other places in the Southwest that have really long warm seasons are great for growing melons. So I got 4 of those. Look at this little watermelon, y'all. Just so cute. I love baby plants. All right, the next thing that I got was a couple of okra. So I have had really bad luck with okra this year. I've had pretty much every little okra seedling that came up eaten during the night. I think there may be 2 left out there that did not get eaten, which really made me mad. So I got a few okra plants actually at Walmart because they had them on their clearance rack and I couldn't resist. It was the Clemson Spineless. But normally I don't grow that variety. Nothing against it. I do like it. I've had it before, but I really like to grow some of the ones that I get from Native Seed Search. So this time I got the Yuma Red. Look at this, guys. Just look how cute that is. You can see it's just got a little bit of red in its stem right now. It is blowing in a storm. I cannot believe that. Here we are just the first week of May, and we had a really heavy rain, I think Friday or Saturday, and today is Monday, and we are getting ready to have a storm, I think, which is really good. No complaints at all, but it may change my plans for tonight for planting some of these seedlings. So I'm gonna try to talk fast, finish this video, and hopefully it won't rain on me, and maybe I can actually sneak a few of these in if I'm lucky. But that is why it's a little bit dark. I'm sitting under this tree. It's a little dark, so hopefully it's not too bad for you. So I've grown 3 different varieties and just saved the seeds year to year. The Eagle Pass, the Texas Hill Country, and the Beck's Gardenville. All of those seeds can be found at Native Seed Search as well. They do really well in our area. I have grown them and then saved the seeds year after year for quite a while, and they are really, really nice okra. Very prolific, super heat tolerant, just really nice. But I have not grown this Yuma Red before. I grew last year a different red variety. It was just the burgundy variety, and that one was really good too. But this year I wanted to try something new, and since I already got a couple of seedlings from Walmart and I have 2 seedlings out there, I'm going to plant these 2, and hopefully between those, what would that be, 6 plants, then I will have a good head start, and then I'm going to plant some more seeds, but this time I'm going to put a cage over them, and hopefully Mr. Rat will go find something else to eat, so we'll see. And then of course I could not walk by their tomato table without picking up another Punta Banda tomato, my all-time favorite tomato, never fail. This Punta Banda tomato will grow with no shade. It will grow with a lot less water than many of the other tomato varieties. It doesn't really seem to get sunburned at all. It doesn't need support. Like, it is just an amazing tomato for the desert, and it gives you like a cocktail sized tomato, and it's not super sweet, but it's got a really nice, juicy, very strong classic tomato flavor that I love, and I'm always talking about that. And so I got another one of those just to kind of give myself another head start. I've had a few problems with some of my tomatoes and disease this year, which is something new for me. I have not experienced that before. One of them is the beet curly top virus, and that is transmitted by leafhoppers actually. So I'm going to have to pull, I think, 3 of my tomatoes out because of that. I have some pictures of that so that you can see what it looks like in case you're having trouble with one of your plants too. It usually will make the tomato leaf look kind of yellowed, as if maybe it's having a nutritional deficiency, but it's not just the lower leaves like when they have a nitrogen deficiency, it's the whole plant. The veins look kind of purple, and the leaf will fold or curl upward instead of downward. And so sometimes that can be a little bit hard to identify because tomato plants can actually fold their leaves or have leaf curl if they're having heat stress or water stress too. But this is different. It's the whole plant. It's also present with those color changes. So I'm pretty sure it's the leaf hoppers. My neighborhood has a ton of grass, which is actually really nice. A lot of different grasses. They have some open spaces and they require them to stay natural. But unfortunately, that means that we have quite a few leaf hoppers and other insects that like to nest in those grasses that are not necessarily great for the garden. So I think that is what is happening. So I'm going to pull a couple of those plants. I think 3 is what I counted. So I have this tomato to replace that one with, and I'm not sure if I'll replace the other 2. I may just put some other plant in its place because, let's be honest, I have too many tomatoes as it is. But then I always get a little worried, like, well, what if all of them get a disease, or what if something happens to all of them and then I don't have enough tomatoes? But I think I need to just settle down. I think it'll be fine. But these things happen, you know, in the garden. Every year brings something different pests, different weather. So like I said, I've had problems with this rat or squirrel or whatever it is, mice, I'm not really exactly sure, but it's some kind of a rodent, and it is a hungry one. So it has been going around and eating so many of my things. So I want to show you this bed over here where all of these plants are going to be going, and I want to show you what I am going to be harvesting out of that bed because I'm really excited about it. So let's go take a look. All right, y'all, I think that you can see it. So I have some parsnips right here. That I shared in my previous video need to be harvested. So I'm going to be harvesting those either tonight if the weather holds out, or tomorrow. And then I also have some potatoes that are ready to go. And so I noticed that the potato vines were starting to yellow and die back. So I sneaked in and I harvested a couple, and I got some really big red potatoes as well as a couple others. I think that the variety is called Prairie Blush. I will put it on the screen. And I've actually already baked them side by side. I didn't put any butter on them, just a little bit of salt because I wanted to taste them. I did a little potato taste test. So I think I'm going to do the taste test again and video it and then share it with you. But those potatoes were delicious, both of them. They tasted different, but they were delicious. So all of that to say, this is the bed that I'm going to be harvesting. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to be putting in this bed just yet. It's either going to be the melons or some of the peppers. I've got some seedlings in the house for various different kinds of peppers as well. I already have 6 peppers in the end of this bed, so I may actually just end up planting peppers here. Now that I think about it, it's really close to the walkways, and I don't really want the melon vines sneaking out and covering up all of the walkways because I don't want those little snakes hiding in there and then having to try to walk through those. That is just too scary, especially since we've found 2 rattlesnakes in this garden in the last 2 years. So I definitely won't be doing that. And then behind me here, I was thinking this white tarp, it's a silage tarp and it is killing some Bermuda grass right now. And so I was hoping that that would be finished, but when I peeked under it, it's been about 6 weeks, I think. So I peeked under it hoping maybe it would be ready, but it's not. And with a silage tarp, it's actually called occultation instead of solarization. It takes a little bit longer than solarization, which is done with a transparent plastic sheet. So I am not going to be able to use that end of the bed yet. So it needs a few more weeks. I would say probably 4 to 6 more weeks. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to use that bed. But I do have some other beds out here that I think that I can squeeze a few more plants into. So right now in the house, I've got some zucchini and I've got some peppers, and then I've got all of the plants I just shared with you, the melons and the tomatoes. So hopefully I can find a little spot for all of them. We're kind of at a transition right now this time of year. The onions are nearly ready to harvest. The garlic is probably a few weeks out. So I'm just looking at those beds, wanting those spots, but I have to be patient and wait for those other things to reach maturity. It's probably not doing it justice when I show you the sky. But I can hear rumbles of thunder right now. The breeze is really starting to pick up. It's gotten very dark. So I'm gonna keep an eye out to the sky and see, oh wow, let me show you this part. I wonder if that will show up. I don't think it really shows up. But just trust me, it is getting very dark and stormy, so we'll see how far I get with this. I'm so excited to dig those potatoes up. I think that potatoes and carrots in particular are like the most magical, most exciting vegetable that you could possibly grow, because they give you no hints as to what is going on under the soil. It could be nothing and be a total disappointment, or you could be pulling out monster potatoes and carrots that just blow your mind. And so it is such a surprise every time, just total magic for sure. And so like I said, I already harvested a few potatoes from that bed, and they were actually really big, like as big as my fist. And so that was such a great surprise. And I'm really, really hoping that the rest of them are that way too. I've got 3 varieties in there right now, which I'll share when I harvest them. And I'll also share how many, like the weight of each kind, because I really think that these are going to be good varieties, especially for Southern Arizona. So if you want to grow potatoes, I think this is going to be some important information for you. All right, I better quit yakking and get to work before it rains on me and I get absolutely nothing planted or harvested tonight. Thank you all for hanging out with me tonight. I'm Kara from So Arizona. Until next time, happy gardening.